Good morning, gardening friends. I have not made a garden video in maybe a month. And Saturday, I did take my robe off. Came out here in my robe and then I was like, wow, look at all this. I'm about to get in there. So I was like, okay, take off the robe. And then I was like, oh, I'll grab my camera. And sometimes when I'm planting and doing stuff like that, that feels really like spiritual to me, I will not film just because I don't like feeling the pressure of it. But when I look around the garden, like when I take a little walk and I just look, and that's when I see things that normally when I'm going in the garden, I'm like, oh, let me do this, do this, do this. But when I'm filming and just like sharing my garden, I'm just looking. And so it really does slow me down. And it's, for me, like the garden slows me down because I generally like have a really hard time slowing down. It's genetic. So thank you for sharing this video. If you're watching this video, thank you for sharing your time with me. But it's just the best Saturday morning, honestly. So I still have my little keep the dogs out palette. Love to keep it simple. So I have a yarrow that's coming back here. This is compost. I'll show you the one that's going right now, but I'm so excited about my in-ground compost. I'm finally figuring out these tomatoes and how it's best for me to stake my tomatoes. All right, the birds are happy because it rained too. So this tomato's doing well. So I staked them with these bamboo poles, and I just use a fence post thing to dig the hole way before the tomato goes in, because that can be a problem if you try to add the stake after the tomato is established. I'm just going to pinch off that bottom part. So I've got it well mulched, and there's worms. You can see that's a sign of the worms right there. There he is. You've been up here feeding my plant. Thank you. Thank you. So mulch keeps the worms happy. Mulch is the best. Still have clover around here, but I'm keeping the weeds away from the base without, covering the base too much. Okay. I'm zoomed in, so I want to show you. Look, you can even see that a worm has been right here. That's all worm castings and food for my garden. So I feed the worms with the compost and the mulch, and they feed my plants. And I pull the weeds. But some weeds are homes for worms, which I can show you too. Like if I'll pull a weed, there'll be a worm living in it. I have been clearing the bottom branches. And I also pinched off some of the fruits that were trying to happen because I want it to get a little bit bigger first, which is really hard to do, but I'm doing it. And then see, this is all the weeds. Clover ground cover, I call it. But that's nothing that a heavy mulch like this won't cover up. I just haven't mowed the grass. So, and then I've got some random beautiful weeds. I'm getting better. I think this is henbit or one of those in that family. But I am getting better at like identifying the different weeds, but if they have flowers, I usually let them stay. These are looking good. So this is 2, and I just tied them as soon as they started growing tall enough to tie them. I tied them, and this one I left the flowers, but I am pinching suckers. But this is a cherry variety, I believe, too, so sometimes it needs those suckers to just like go wild, which it's definitely going to do. And I should probably take this bottom leaf, but not just yet. I'll let it get a little taller, and then I'll take that one. You don't want to take too many or it can't photosynthesize. But an experiment, leaving the flowers on some. Keeping it mulched. I try not to mulch it too close to the stem because I don't want anything to eat my stem. So yeah, and then let's go close up on, oh, there's some peas. I guess this one's flowering as well. I hope it's focused. And here's a tomato plant example that was stunted and it's not gonna be a good plant. But I gave it a shot, right? I had to stop off at this one. This one is looking really strong. This is just one plant. And again, that one's touching the ground. People recommend you don't have a leaf that's like touching the ground because it invites the fungus and things. So I should probably trim that one later. But a nice strong stem, and it's just hooked right here with something soft. An old t-shirt works really well. This is like a headband thing that I cut up. But it's trying to flower as well. I guess I'm just gonna let it. And you can see the worms have been here. So we should find them. Look at all their droppings. Oh, there he went. He was like, nope, what are you doing here? What are you doing? I'm trying to show you to my friends. So hard not to pull weeds anytime I see weeds. This is a volunteer. I'm gonna let it go. There's some wild garlic and onions around it. That's cool. I got lots of onions though, and so the wild ones can just not grow right here. Look at all these worms. He's like, hey, is this your house? Where do you live? Can I come over? Oh, excuse me. Just go right under you here. Sometimes they scare me because I think they're snakes. When I'm pulling weeds, they take off. But yeah, this grass, this is the one I'll go after, like, because I can actually, ooh, there's a worm in it. I'll actually be able to get the roots after it rains. But like, I haven't been worrying as much about for these little ground cover types, but it's that grass because it just has grass roots. This is my little compost, by the way. I dig a little hole and then I bury that metal about halfway. This is just some like roofing sheeting or something. And so yeah, it helps it stay down ground level, and then I just put some mulch over it. And you know, my dogs can't get in here, so. But the mulch keeps the flies off of it for the most part, you know. Still gonna have a few flies, but it doesn't smell. And that way it just goes right into the garden. It's the best way I've found to compost so far, and I've tried lots of ways. This is buckwheat. So pretty. It's red ruby buckwheat, and it comes up and flowers, and you can turn it over as a cover crop, like cut it down, but we'll see. I usually just let it flower because it's so pretty. I've been throwing some things in, some flowers over here, and then this is waiting. This is going to be for okra, but it needed some more time, so it's got cardboard and a rug over it. Let's see. Or just a rug. It's just a rug, but the worms are happy. I should put some cardboard under that rug. That would make the worms even happier. All sunflowers through here, so when they start coming up, I'll mulch this out. I threw down some basil here and also there. And the strawberry patch is doing amazing. I need to come pick again, and I just picked. This was like 7 plants. I say that every time, but it's awesome. I came through here and did sunflowers and some other flowers like all around the border. And then whatever I moved from the border, I pulled back and covered this weedy area. And I threw a rug over that too. And that just helps hold everything down. And that'll be a spot I can plant in like couple weeks. Okay, let's look at these strawberries, and then I'm looking, see what else is going on. This is also a weedy area with this kind of grass here. So this needs heavy mulch, and I do have some cardboard, so I might do some cardboard down today. But I see one squash, and of course I can't remember which ones I planted where. This right here is actually Chinese chives that I planted a long time ago that grow. They're like the flat leaf kind. So there's another one. Okay. Look at this broccoli. I need to come through and trim around here, but wow, look at this stem. It's starting to get eaten by roly-polies. So this broccoli is at the end of its life. It's flowering. It lived through the frost, super, super cold frost. And I will get some broccoli seeds at least. Beautiful. Huge. I mean, it's up to my waist. The walking onions are all flowering too. Looking beautiful. I love the way they do that. These are my older ones, so they're doing their thing. Also lots of clover in there. The garlic is looking super healthy. And that's really it in this garden. Look at that. Let me zoom in. So the garlic is heavy mulched, and that helps it get fed by the worms. Some plastic. See if we can see what the garlic is doing. Okay. Hey worm, there's one. Excuse me, just checking it out. Starting to. Still gonna be a while for this garlic though. It has to completely die back. But wow, that is like all worm castings right there. That is insane. So where you mulch, the worms want to be. When you don't put any chemicals, they don't put anything. Fish emulsion sometimes, but I haven't been buying it because my in-ground compost and just mulch. I mean, really just, the worms love it. Look at that. There's a worm. They're my garden helpers. Them and the bees. Life is good.